Ever since the 1980s, the world of Bomberman has charmed not only people in Japan, but those outside of Japan, with its ever simplistic yet addictive gameplay. And to celebrate 4 decades of Bomberman that has lived up to this day as one of the most popular franchises, I thought it would be appropriate to look back at its first 20 years. With that said, hello guys, what is up? I am LeapNumber121, and welcome to the final episode of my playthrough of Bomberman Jetta's Legendary Bomberman, a Japanese-only Bomberman game that celebrates the 20th anniversary of this beloved franchise. Last time, I looked at the Bomb decks, which was all 32 Bombs you can find in this game. I've also looked at the fastest way to grind for money, and that was the arcade. In this episode, to close off what has been a spectacular playthrough, I thought it'd be appropriate to look back at the other decks, the software decks, which showcases the first 28 games in the Bomberman franchise, starting from 1983 all the way to 2002. If you guys are hyped for a brand new video on the channel, and are excited for more to come because this is indeed the end of the Let's Play, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe for more content if you're new, and ring that bell to notify answer below on the channel. If you missed the Bomb decks, check it out on the card top right. And of course, if you're new to this video, hi, I'm Joel, I'm LeapNumber121. Normally I don't do these kind of videos, but I thought it'd be appropriate since this year does mark 40 years of Bomberman. Playlist to the playthrough, top right. Oh, by the way, I'm not necessarily the best nerd around for Bomberman, considering this is the only Bomberman game I played. So, I thought it'd be appropriate to get someone way more experienced than me. Introduce yourself.
Hello guys, I'm Speed Racer 95 and I'm back here with Lee to assist him on the history of Bomberman.
So,
the experiences, the build-up, the excitement, the functionality, and even the ever-changing aspect.
Took you a bit. Throughout the playthrough, you may have noticed that some of the items we collected can be synthesized with each other, even if it doesn't really give anything important to, well, our main gameplay. But instead, some items can be combined to give us these softwares, which, well, of course, helps us to fill up these decks. There are 26 that are earned by synthesis and 2 earned by unique milestones in this game. So without further ado, let's take a look at 20 years of Bomberman. Speaking of those unique ways, the first game in this list actually involves a unique way. Just by clearing the game normally, we get our first game, Bomberman aka Dino Blaster for those in America, for the NES and Famicom. This was released in December of 1985. The bottom right hand corner showcases the Japanese text that you'll see if you were viewing this game on Bomberman Jetta's The Legendary Bomberman. Bomberman is a robot engaged in the production of bombs. Like his fellow robots, he had been put to work in an underground compound by evil forces. Bomberman found it to be an unbearably dreary existence. One day, he heard an encouraging rumor. According to the rumor, any robot that could escape the underground compound and make it to the surface could become human. Bomberman leaped at the opportunity, but escape proved to be no small task. Alerted to Bomberman's betrayal, large numbers of the enemies set out in pursuit. Bomberman can rely only on bombs on his own production for his defense. Will he ever make it out to the surface? And once there, will he really become human? A fun trivia fact about this game is that the Japanese manual mentions him as the Load Runner. I guess it's a failed version of the Road Runner, am I right? Our next game requires a bit of synthesis. Grab the ancient coin and the dragon tail to create our next game.
This is known as Robo Warrior, also known in Japan as Bomber King, considered by one as a spin-off to the Bomberman series. There are many of them, but they have elements of the Bomberman universe, some from even Sunsoft's own Blaster Master series.
You're Zed, half man, half cyborg. The one-man battalion with a human heart and a computer's brain. Can you blast your way alone through 27 battle zones to liberate the desperate people of the planet Altal from the evil invader Zur? Zur has seized the weather control station. It's bitter cold, and the people have fled underground. He knows you've landed. No turning back. You must recover an arsenal of 12 different weapons and 6 powers hidden on Altal. Megaton bombs, life vests, hyper missiles, super boots, crossfires, super bombs, energy capsules, life pods, power balls. Master each to save yourself from a continuing barrage of 20 deadly enemies. Wisp, Wanes, Tracers, Strinkers, Scrogs, the Globula, Golem, Viripedes. They're mean, they're ugly, and they're after you. Flying, dive bombing, riping, grabbing. Find the keys, or you're blocked in the battle zone forever. Find the hidden chalice and be saved from eternal doom. Hit the switch. This is war. Grab that axe and grab that red flower because we're about to look at the next game. Bomber Boy, aka Atomic Punk, released for the Game Boy only in August of 1990.
Peaceful world of Atomica has been invaded by radiation thieves known only as Nukies. Seeking ultimate control, these wicked villains have captured everyone who stood in their way. People of Atomica are doomed. But there's no escape for the prison towers of the planet's nuclear facilities. Factories. Only Atomic Punk and his father, Bomberman, have the speed and strength to overcome the Nukies' wrath. Now it's up to them to save their captive friends and Atomica. He will split up and tackle the raiding army of mutants on their turf. Atomic Punk travels the land of Atomica, while Bomberman returns to the carnivorous realm of the subterranean world. Each character has the power and resources available to blast the Nukies off Atomica and restore peace to the land.
Huh, I didn't know that the Bombermans also had a family.
Activating the Synergy Blast, using coin and ice, and we got ourselves the NES sequel, Bomberman 2, released for the Famicom on June of 1991.
A highly
5 months after I was born.
Oh, that's kind of cool. A highly technological city known as Grid City is suddenly overrun with hackers. While the soldiers run amok, all of the city's zones are hacked. The infection rate increases all the way to 99.9% before a hero can interrupt it. Bomberman locks himself into the system to fight off the virus.
Using the silver medal and the blue flower, we get ourselves the first of the Super NES's We're Playing with Power, Super Bomberman! Bringing ourselves from the Super NES and Super Famicom in April of 1993.
Far to the north of Bomberman's hometown, Peacetown, lies the modern metropolis, Diamond City. There, the evil Kara Diamond and his cohort, scientist Dr. Mook, are holding a robot tournament with robots specially designed for their combat and offensive capabilities. Hoping to steal Bomberman's advanced combat capabilities, Diamond has created a fake Bomberman to go to Peacetown and kidnap the real Bomberman. Aware of Diamond's plot, Black Bomberman heads out alone to face the fake Bomberman. But Black Bomberman is defeated and his castle is taken. Somehow, Black Bomberman escapes and seeks refuge with White Bomberman and warns him of Diamond's evil plan. Soon, wave upon wave of enemy robots begin their advance toward Peacetown. Now, two heroes must join forces to overthrow the evil Diamond. Huh, I wonder if they managed to find Sonic and Amy there as Diamond City. Oh wait, wrong game.
I think you're thinking of WarioWare there.
Oops. Expect us to be staying around the SNES and Super Famicom console for quite a while. There are a lot of games for that consoles. Grab Akane's autograph and the red flower to create the second installation, Super Bomberman 2, which was released on April 1994.
5 alien cyborgs calling themselves the 5 Dastardly Bombers arrive on planet Earth seeking the original Bomberman. Bomberman attempts to fight them off but is taken captive on their spaceship. He awakens in a prison cell at Magnet Bomber's base and must battle his way to freedom. Hello, you people out there. It's me, Wario, and I'm here to tell you, use that little autograph and that little blue flower, and you'll get yourself Wario Blast. And we don't talk about that little blue flower either, but I do have one thing. It came out in 1994, and I'm very grateful to be against the mighty Bomberman.
One day, as Wario went out for a stroll, he came across Bomberman's world. Wario began to pillage the world for treasure in hopes of becoming rich. Only Bomberman can stop Wario's greedy yet evil plans. It's up to the player who succeeds.
What? Hey! No you don't, you fat man! Take this!
On the Bomberman GB side, Bomberman is out for a stroll one day on his moto when suddenly he's ambushed by a group of black Bomberman and is tackled, resulting in 5 of his power-ups: Kick, the Dash Shoes, the Trouncer, Lime Bomb, and the aforementioned moto being forcibly taken by the black Bomberman. Determined to get his prized possessions back, Bomberman races out to stop the Dark Bombers.
I'm all up to it.
Surprise, surprise, another SNES and Super Famicom installation. But hang on, not released in America. Introducing Super Bomberman Panic Bomber W, the Japanese-only game released on March 1995.
Having just defeated the 5 Dastardly Bombers, Bomberman treats himself to a trip to the South Island, where he rests and relaxes. Unfortunately, the peace is disturbed by some unfortunate news. The World Bombers have embarked on a riot, wreaking havoc across the world. Bomberman travels across Earth to end their villainy, discovering that they all are brainwashed. Who could be behind this heinous scheme?
Before we move on, I believe you have something to tell me about the Super Bomberman series before we move on, right?
Oh yeah, that's right. Starting with Super Bomberman, you may have noticed on the first 2 consoles, there weren't any way of connecting more than 2 players. So, if Lee can flash up a multi-tap, this is how the way people had did it back in the day. Specifically, there were 2 versions, one in Bomberman space, and one as a multi-tap for the Super Nintendo, as well as many a platform that features Bomberman, leading up to 5 players at a time, and mostly 8.
8-player gameplay before the GameCube? What?
After hearing about the multi-tap and its many ways that it pioneered the concept of multiplayer action, it's time to introduce ourselves to the next 3 games, which effectively were released only in Japan and more ways in Europe. Super Bomberman 3. This was released as much as early as April 28th, 1995, with Europe getting it in October.
After their defeat in the previous game, the 5 Dastardly Bombers ended up on Earth in a heap of wreckage. A UFO appears and retrieves their remains. The alien known as Professor Bagura, I wonder when I've heard of that before, creator of the Dastardly Bombers, revives the villains and sends them to 5 planets of the Bomber Nebula. Each bomber steals and dismantles the mother computer chip on each planet and scatters the pieces across the land, powering down the network. It is up to White Bomberman and Black Bomberman to save the planet and stop Bagura's plans of space conquest.
Seems like that very rivalry with Bagura had started even here. Interesting.
What happens when you ask Bomberman to run away from a crushing boulder? Well, dun 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 dun! Bomberman GB2 for the Game Boy, released in August 1995. Were they going for Indiana Jones theme with this artwork? Beats me.
Indy Bomber has been combing a vast jungle in search of the Ring of Wishes. He discovers the ruins with the jungle, and he is reading a scripture. Falls through a trap in the floor, he must find a way out of the dungeon and find the Ring of Wishes. Seems the Super Famicom is not done yet with Bomberman. We have number 4. Released in April of 1996, and fortunately, we never saw a Western release nor an English release for Europe, mainly because the Nintendo 64 was preparing launch at the time.
Bagura's brain escaped the explosion of his battleship in Super Bomberman 3 and has summoned the 4 Bomber Kings and Bomber Great to get revenge on White and Black Bomberman. The 2 heroes are sent hurling back in time along with Blue, Red, Green, Orange, Aqua, and Gold Bomberman, and Honey the Cowgirl and Kotetsu the Samurai, to fight through different eras, defeat the evil quintet, and ultimately face Bagura.
Seems Bagura constantly is a crafty one.
How do you like your Bomberman in a tin can? Yes, that's right, Bomberman Collection for the Nintendo Game Boy was released in July of 1996. This compilation video game consists of the first 3 Game Boy Bomberman games, Bomber Boy, Bomberman GB, and Bomberman GB2. 3 for the price of 1, Grandma!
It seems very obvious when you give a medal and an egg. you'll get probably one of the craziest spin-offs of all time. Or at least, ones that involve Bomberman blasting out of his chest. Bomberman Beat-em-on! Which was released in December of 1996. Probably at the tail end of the Super Famicom, or at least first officially, since many of these had a meet. Now, the one thing is, you see the little toy in the middle right there? You get those with every copy of Bomberman Beat-em-on. These play almost like certain games, like Beyblade and all that. Kinda crazy stuff if you ask me. Seems like Hudson Soft thought it'd be a good idea to distribute their games in a tin can. However, like the GB trilogy, this one also appeared in a tin can. Bomberman GB3. Released in December of 1996, probably a month after Beat-em-on. Surprisingly, that tin can can also be used for bandages, or even your coins, or pretty much a good place to collect some of your precious stamps.
The 11th planet of Bomber Nebula, named Owen, faces a sudden earthquake. Deep within its underground, the terrible evil bomber had been trapped for ages. He finally rises to power and steals the bomber capsules from Bomberman. Bomberman and his friends then vow to take back the capsules and defeat Evil Bomber.
We're just not done with the 16-bit era, are we? The Super Famicom gets one more Bomberman game, Super Bomberman 5. Good lord. Hudson Soft game. You had to release this a month after the Nintendo 64 came out. So this is one of the last 16-bit Super Famicom games released in Japan on February 1997.
Planet Bomber was a peaceful place until one day when the evil Terrorwind appeared. He entered Bomber Penitentiary and released the fiendish bombers from their cells. They agreed to help Terrorwind to help conquer the universe in exchange for their freedom. When Bomberman heard of this, he and Black Bomberman, along with their Rui companions, set off to defeat the fiendish bombers and stop Terrorwind's evil plan. Sounds like White and Black really can go along with each other, right?
Seems so. I mean, Black Bomberman's kind of the smug one.
I actually didn't know that.
Well, if Super Bomberman R kind of puts that into consideration.
Ah, lore, ladies and gentlemen. Lore. In June 1997, I was born. Fun fact for you guys. 1 month after was a oddball to the Bomberman series. I hope you don't mind seeing only red and black, because we have Panic Bomber for the Virtual Boy. This was actually a single-player game, and it was intended to be a multiplayer game, but guess what? The cable for the Virtual Boy never came out.
Probably on the factor it flopped before such a thing could ever be conceived. The dark island of Ever Mist is permanently enshrouded in a deep, dreary fog. Many adventurers have traveled there in a quest for the legendary golden statue of Bomberman, but none have returned. The legend states, he or she who gathers together the three celestial metals of power, which on the island of Evermist, shall open the gates and gain access to the statue. Learning this, Bomberman sets off on another great adventure.
Great.
Honestly enough, this was the few times when multiplayer would have been useful, if only such a thing didn't coexist with Ice Train.
Great adventure? More like great in many parentheses adventure, am I right?
Yuppers indeed.
Do you hear something? Oh wait, that's just the earthquake from the excitement from Speed, because we're finally in the N64 era. How about Baku Bomberman, aka Bomberman 64, released in September of 1997.
Oh yes! I have waited so long to talk about this. This was one of my brothers and mine first ever Nintendo 64 games. We got this on Christmas of that year. And man, we both had a blast. Planet Bomber was a peaceful place until a strange fortress descends upon it. Attached to it are 4 pieces of planets that were conquered by the Masked Trio. Now they hope to conquer Planet Bomber. Bomberman discovers what's happening as he's about to depart. A strange new ally named Sirius joins him. The duo set off to stop these new villains. However, Sirius reveals himself to be the true threat, and Bomberman and his new frenemy, Regulus, team up to stop him. This is the pinnacle. This was the first ever shown of Bomberman in the third dimension.
5 worlds, lots of fun, but very painful to 100%.
Exactly, and people have turned to either Game Shark or had to do other ways to try to get the gold cards. And 100 are needed in order to get the final level.
Ouch.
Yeah. Bomberman may have heard tales, but this one was once on the Game Boy, but is also one of the Game Boy Color's launch titles. Bomberman forgoes medieval armor in this one. This is known as Pocket Bomberman. And surprisingly enough, it's also on a tin can. And, believe it or not, this is one of the few games where he can jump without the use of a bomb. Well, he technically uses a bomb, but that's only in 2D and 3D. We'll talk about that when the time comes.
Long, long ago, the sun was covered by a dark and heavy cloud. It was said that the cause was a monster who had sealed the Sword of the Sun. It was also said that in order to unseal the Sword of the Sun, a hero must collect 5 Power Stones, which were guarded by 5 monsters in the Evil Mountain. Bomberman was forced to take up the challenge of collecting all the Power Stones, as he was the last hero capable of defeating such strong monsters.
Gotta admit, there are many times when Bomberman must take upon even the challenges and facing against a mountain of evil. With thunder and wrath and frustration, whatever prophecy is happening on that mountain is going to happen.
Jeez, I don't think I'll ever get used to the excitement of earthquakes, because we're back to the N64 with Bomberman Hero, one of the few Bomberman games I've actually heard of but never played. This came out in April of 1998.
Oh boy, you need to try it. It is an interesting take, and not to mention, it's also one of the few games that Bomberman can jump and climb on ledges and throw bombs, lay and kick bombs. Although, this one has power gear. Anyway, we'll talk about that a little bit more. Okay, Bomberman was training very hard, day and night at Bomber Base to keep the universe peaceful. One day he received an order to check out a spaceship that had crash-landed in the Peace Mountains. When our hero arrived on the scene, he found a strange-looking robot. According to this robot, the planet Primus Star was attacked by the Garden Empire. This robot was able to escape with the lovely Princess Million of Primus Star via spaceships. But the Garden Empire captured him and took the princess away. To help out, Bomberman left his home and embarked on a journey to save Princess Million. The thing is, I really adore this game. This is one of the many takes of Bomberman that I can enjoy, and one I recommend to Mr. Chugga Conroy, as he's not very good at Bomberman.
Ouch.
Yeah, Mr. Proton John, I want to recommend Bomberman Hero for Mr. Chugga. With Bomberman seemingly indestructible, although that's kind of a given at this point, Bomberman takes on the concept of an RPG. This is Bomberman Quest. As it's well known, this is the mini that takes on the Bomberman games and allows him to freely roam. This was released in December of 1998, and to 1999 the rest of the world, with Americans getting it in May and Europe in November.
While carrying captured monsters to Planet Bomber in his bomber shuttle, Bomberman is attacked by 4 mysterious lights, and the 4 engines of his shuttle are stolen. He is forced to make a crash landing on the nearby planet, which results in the escape of all of the monsters. Bomberman's quest is to recapture the bomber monsters and reclaim his engines from the 4 commanders who stole them. Only then may he return to Planet Bomber.
Interesting enough, I never would have thought that an RPG and Bomberman going together, that makes sense, I guess.
Look, if Sonic can't do it, Bomberman can, right?
Oh! With my nostalgia for Nintendo 64, and I still have mine to this very day, this one passed me by. Though this was, for a while, this is a sequel to Bomberman 64. This is known as The Second Attack. And it's one of the few games that actually improves over its predecessor, and surprisingly enough, includes Pommy, a Carabomb that would make its appearance in later installments, releasing, surprisingly enough, before Y2K, December of 1999, surviving throughout May 2000. Shockingly, Europe never got it.
Bomberman is flying through space when his ship detects a black hole. During his panic, Bomberman is knocked out and his ship is pulled into the black hole. He later awakens in a prison cell along with an egg that he had previously discovered on a hot springs planet. The egg hatches and Pommy appears, who slips through the bars and gets the Firestone back from Bomberman. Using his bombs, he destroys the door and the two escape, beginning their adventure to defeat the BHB army and escape from the black hole.
Interesting enough, there are so many recurrences from 64, and Regulus returns as well.
Speaking of Y2K survivors, we have another game that managed to survive the Millennium Change. Bomberman Max Blue Champion version for the Game Boy Color. This was also released in December of 1999.
On the far edge of the universe were 5 planets. The centermost one, named Future Star, had its supercomputer infiltrated by an alien shadow. That alien is named Rain, and he has sent his minions to the surrounding planets and turned the natural wildlife into mechanical beings. Dr. I notices this problem and dispatches both Bomberman and Max to deal with the situation. Surprisingly enough, not only does Bomberman play a role, but also Max, who also is the mascot for the Challenger version of Bomberman Max.
For our next software, it's a unique method again. By collecting every single Carabomb and filling up the Carabomb decks, we can return back to the house where we collected that Carabomb decks. This house, if you're wondering, is located to the right of where the Motor Jetter is. By talking to the person on the right, he will mention how you got every single Carabomb registered and gives you software number 24, Bomberman Max Ein version. Think of it as the Pokemon Yellow of Bomberman Max, concluding both Red Challenger and Blue Champion. Now, if only this was readily available.
Surprisingly, many of it actually coexists. Though, if you had to mail away for it, that would make sense.
But how about the even rarer 4th edition, Bomberman Max Complete Edition?
Oh God! Well, if they made one and using the max capacity of a Game Boy Color cartridge, I assume that would work. But would you risk it with the Game Boy Advance looming over the horizon the year ahead?
Probably not. If you were sick of us making Y2K jokes this video, don't worry, they stop right here. Coming out on April 2001, finally on the Game Boy Advance, Bomberman Story or Bomberman Tournament.
One day, the planet Fantarion is visited by 5 meteors, which are actually the 5 dastardly bombers. Really, them again? A strange fortress appears when they land, and the world among it began to freeze over. Hearing the distress call, Dr. Ein sends Max to check things out. When Max enters the tower, he is confronted by the beast Plasma Rock. Max is easily defeated and becomes captured. Having lost all communication with him, Ein sends for Bomberman to find out the answers. And as you may have noticed, Pommy returns in this one, along with Carabombs. Okay, surprisingly, the Nintendo 64 version we got was Bomberman 64. Did you not know that Japan had their own Bomberman 64? Yeah, but this one doesn't follow the 3D aspect, but actually puts their own spin to it by going back to the classic eras, with mini games on the mind. And surprisingly, that chibi design will continue in some games.
While not having a story mode, this game houses some interesting classics. Panic Bomber mode, which is basically a single-player mode where you just keep playing until you lose. And more importantly, Same Game, which is not a Bomberman game, but a Match 3 game? Yeah, even Japan has some interesting twists. Pokemon took a lot of time and effort to rename their games back in the past. But Bomberman was just like, I don't care about changing names, so we'll just keep back the red and blue, huh? Bomberman Max 2, blue version for the Nintendo Game Boy Advance, is the second to last installment in the software list. This came out in February 2002.
Planet Bomber was a peaceful place until Mujo and the Hiki Hiki bandits attacked the Bomber base. They planted a machine in the middle of the base as part of Operation Mini Mini. When they were spotted by Bomberman and Max, Mujo and the Hiki Hiki activated the machine and run away, luring Bomberman and Max into the trap. The heroes are shrunken down to a small size and contact Dr. Ein for help. The doctor cannot go there himself because he would be affected by the machine, so he sends Carabombs instead to help the heroes disable the machine.
And for the last installment in this list, take the last item you can get as a base, and the first I can get as its, well, mold, and you get the final software. Gee, I wonder what it is. Bomberman Max 2 Red version. Jeez, Bomberman, could you came up with any other colors?
It's just like Mega Man Battle Network when they have to do like, oh, Red Sun, Team Who Knows, or Side Beast.
And with that, that is every single Bomberman game, well, at least most of it, that was released in the first 20 years of Bomberman. Ever since then, of course, we had many other Bomberman games, but admittedly, some people can say that not many can beat the classics. Am I right, Speed Racer?
Indeed.
And with that, that is every single thing that I can talk about Bomberman Jetters, the legendary Bomberman for the Nintendo Game Boy Advance. And finally, after I can edit this video at least, I can put this game to rest. Oh man, you guys can't imagine how much work I've been putting in. For those wondering, I've gone through many weeks of having to translate all the text that I've seen, not only for you guys, but for my own curiosity. And to finally put this playthrough to its end, and to finally know everything about this game. Well, firstly, I can finally speedrun this game. And secondly, my curiosity and that urge can finally end here. Big shoutouts to all who have been as co-comms, from Speed Racer to my good friends of mine, Ace and Matrix, back in episode 3. Also, thank you so much to Dine and Dime and the Sonic Geek. Link to their YouTubes will be in the description below for helping me with some of the translation along the way. Oh, and Speed Racer, seriously, thank you so much for this helping me with this video. Without you, I don't think I would be able to talk much about these games.
Yeah. I don't know what you would have done without me, buddy.
I have no idea. With that, that's it. As I said, I probably will be speedrunning this game, so expect some of this game to appear on the Wednesdays. But for now...
Probably on his Twitch?
Yeah, probably on my Twitch. But for now...
You'll find me there on Twitch too.
But for now, that's it. I'll see you guys on the next Let's Play, where another RPG compels me yet again. That's your only clue for now, although I think that clue might be way more obvious than usual. Thank you guys so much for watching, but remember, the adrenaline rush is real. This is the Epinev121, signing out. I'll catch you guys next Let's Play. Peace!
Take care, everyone!